You're listening to Tripod, the Tricycle Creative podcast, produced for anyone interested in being a better digital and content marketer. Host Ross Erosion is a marketing coach, content creator, and entrepreneur who brings you helpful tips, social media updates, inspiring interviews, and his own unique perspective on how to tell your story and grow your business. So sit back, relax, and let's get pedaling.
You know, I really miss travel. It's one of those things every year that my wife and I, we do one big trip, international trip. And this year, that's not happening. In fact, I remember one of my favorite trips goes all the way back to when I was in middle school. And my grandmother bought us a cruise trip. But before we went on the cruise, we went to Barcelona and spent a couple days in Barcelona. And I distinctly remember being in Barcelona and having all these Vespas and motor scooters zipping around, getting around traffic, getting up on the sidewalk. And that's certainly not to say that Barcelona is the only place where this happens. I've seen enough Amazing Race episodes to see this happens in a lot of countries. You have people on motorized scooters or Vespas zipping around traffic that's just completely congested. And conversely, I've lived in cities, big cities, New York City, where you have systems like the subway, able to take in masses of people at a time and move them through the city because of this amazing infrastructure. Why am I bringing all this up? I'll revisit that a little bit later. COVID has upended a lot of things. Obviously, my love of travel being one of the biggest for me, but let's be real. Business, loss of life, major industries being affected. One industry majorly affected is education. For those of you out there who have kids in school, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, this move to virtual learning, which I don't know how much headache that might have been causing you, but for many of my colleagues and friends, it's been quite a shift for them to adapt. And I think also for those people that I know who are teachers, it's been a adaptation that they've been having to kind of figure out kind of on the fly. And you look at then higher education, college. I mean, really mounted potentially for a massive shakeup. Now, I'm not educated enough, nor am I informed enough to talk at length about the, college student debt crisis that is America. But I think when you look at the United States, particularly, you look at this infatuation and almost obsession with the college degree, to the point where it's such a requirement that it almost loses its value. The college degree has become the high school degree. Oh, it's just a box that you check on a resume and everyone has to have it. I read an interesting article on Forbes.com by Stephen McBride, and he talked about how college is education and experience, and the experience has been stripped away by COVID. And he also talked about what's to stop nimble disruptors from offering college degrees at cheaper prices, and how that's a real threat to the, and these are his words, but I agree with them, quote, middle of the road U.S. colleges. These colleges that, don't survive because they have wealthy donors. They're not Yale, Princeton, Harvard. They're not the Ivy League colleges. They're not the colleges that are known by name. They may even be colleges that don't have sports programs. And the reality is that, for those colleges that have major sports programs, the money that just comes flooding in like just a tidal wave helps to support what they're doing. And those sports have also been affected by COVID. We're seeing them go back, but there's an impact there. And it may not be the last impact. We're about to go into fall, winter. Winter is coming. And I don't know what that looks like for COVID. And by extension, we don't know what that looks like for education. And when Stephen McBride talks about the threat to the middle of the road colleges, you also look at a major threat and shakeup that I welcome coming from those companies, services, products that are able to create programs that replace the college degree. Enter Google. Google now has a certificate program. Takes only 6 months to complete. Will be a fraction of the cost of college. And I think it fills a major gap, skill gap of, I would almost say a modern day trade. In the United States, we look down so much on trades that they have almost no intrinsic value, that what a shame it would be if your child didn't go to college and instead took up a trade. But there's a very real gap, and those are very successful businesses. I know, I work with some. I work with people who are in the trades, and you know what? There's money to be had. There is very real need there every single day. And you don't need a college degree to be successful there. This whole one size fits all, one thing is right for everyone is not what works. And there's a quote from Google's SVP of Global Affairs. His name's Kent Walker. He said, "College degrees are out of reach for many Americans, and you shouldn't need a college diploma to have economic security." And I wholeheartedly agree. So why am I bringing this up? Well, it's twofold. First, you need to ask yourself, is your business continually evolving? Or are you going to be that person out on an island that's just laughably using an AOL email account? Are you going to be the, AOL chat of your industry? No one wants that. No one wants to be the last person in the room. And, you're looking around and before you know it, no one's there. And you got to shut off the lights. And it can sneak up on you. It can absolutely happen. So you need to ask yourself, are you continually evolving? And now is a perfect time to be asking that question. When we come out of whatever comes of COVID, whether it is now or a next wave, how are you evolving your business? What are the ways that you can still provide value and service to prospective customers? The second thing is, are you evolving? If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you need to have insatiable curiosity. This has been the thing that has made me successful throughout my career, not only as an entrepreneur, but just as someone who works even in a corporate environment. I joke with people, although it's not a joke, that I have been hired every single one of my jobs I was unqualified for. I went from being on air to going into HR. I had no HR experience. Then going from HR into video marketing, where I had no experience. Those are the two major careers, the stops on my career, if you will, that I had that I was not prepared for. But I had a vision and I was insatiably curious. I wanted to see what others were doing. I wanted to learn more. I asked people. I asked everyone. I was hungry for information on how I can make the best, whatever it is. Insert your business, your service, your whatever here. And if you are that business owner, that entrepreneur, that solopreneur, you need to instill that passion and requirement for learning with your staff, if you have a group of people, you need to encourage them to be hungry and insatiable for knowledge, information, and to be better. So I bring this back to when I was in Barcelona. The Vespas zipping around town, able to methodically move through traffic and get to their destination. Versus the subway, which had massive infrastructure requirements. And yes, it can certainly be efficient and move people, but it requires a huge amount of planning and investment and time and maintenance. Chances are you're probably closer to being the Vespa than the subway. And that's a good thing. You want to have your business be nimble. You want to be able to move through that otherwise stalled traffic to keep pushing your business forward, to keep pedaling. I always talk about how Tricycle Creative, we're on a mission to make better marketers. And you can only be a better marketer if you're curious, if you're constantly trying to move your business forward, and if you're working your way around that otherwise stalled traffic. And you know what? One day, I hope for you that you have the planning, funds to build that metaphorical subway system for your business. But that doesn't mean you should get rid of the Vespas. It means what you should do is you should, and this may even be an exercise in what aspects of your business are more like a subway and what aspects of your business are more like the Vespa. And I think for many of you, a big percentage, a larger percentage is probably more Vespa. So if you do want to learn more and be a better marketer, I certainly encourage you to check out, we have some online courses. You can find them at learn.tricycle-creative.com or just go to tricycle-creative.com to learn all about our training and learning. And I encourage you today to think about how you can navigate your business more like a Vespa and less like a subway. Keep pedaling.
Thanks for listening to Tripod. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. Show notes can be found at tripodpodcast.com. Connect with Tricycle Creative on social media at Hello Tricycle and learn more about how we can help you with your marketing at tricycle-creative.com.